Now let's get into some real talk. It's time for story time, everyone. Why don't we just dive right on in? Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So for this video, I thought I would continue with my ranking of Disney characters. So this is a follow-up to the recommendation from my friend Patrick, where I tiered the Disney princes, which kind of touches on my first video where I ranked the Disney princesses. So if you're curious to know about those ones, be sure to check out those videos before you watch this one, or check them out after this, whatever works for you. But in this video, it's going to be a tier list of the Disney villains. So it's not just going to be the villains of the Disney princesses, it's going to be a number of villains. It's not all of them. That list would be so long since there's so many Disney villains, but it's the select few that I've chosen. So why don't we dive right on in and get to some Disney villains. All right, so here's our list here in no particular order. And we're going to start with the Evil Queen. So I will go into some facts about the Evil Queen, and this is from the Disney Fandom Wiki. So the Evil Queen, also known as the Wicked Queen or simply the Queen, is the main antagonist of Disney's 1937 feature film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and is the first Disney villain in the Disney animated features canon. Determined to remain the fairest one of all, the Queen becomes insanely jealous of Snow White, the only one whose beauty surpasses her own. All right, so the Evil Queen. So how I'm ranking these is S to D, S being the best, D being the worst. And I'm going to kind of rank it on gut feelings. I'm also going for their storyline, if it's actually moving or if they're just kind of evil. And how much screen time they get and how much of an impact they have. So with the Evil Queen, we're going to start her off in C territory for me. That might change. We'll see. The reason for C is because the Evil Queen has such a big impact since she is the first villain, animated villain of the Disney franchise in that sense. So she kind of kicks it off, but she kind of doesn't have that big of a story. It's just at the beginning and at the end. The whole middle part's just about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which is clearly what the movie is about, but she doesn't seem to be entangled in it as much. Although, let's say, her outfit is iconic, the poison apple, iconic, and that's kind of why I didn't put her in a D and I put her in a C ranking. Up next, we have Maleficent. And Maleficent is the main antagonist in Disney's 1959 film Sleeping Beauty. She is an evil fairy and is an incarnation of pure evil and is responsible for all of the misfortune in King Stephen's kingdom, taking offense to not being invited to the christening of Aurora by King Stephen and his wife. So Maleficent curses the princess to die by pricking her finger on the spinning wheel's spindle before the sun sets on her 16th birthday. All right, so Maleficent. I'm going to rank her above the Evil Queen in B. Now, I'm not talking about the Maleficent, the movie. I'm going to just refer to Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty. It's been a while since I've seen it, but she just has like that presence about her. She's a little more in the movie than the Evil Queen, in my opinion. Again, it's been some time. And I'm not saying that the movie is like amazing. It's quite boring in my opinion, but I find that her presence when she shows up is so much greater. She instills fear into the kingdom and the people and the other fairies, and she's a petty woman. She did not get invited to a party that everyone else was invited to. So she's like, excuse me, who do you think you are? And I can kind of get behind that. She also transforms into a dragon. The Evil Queen just transforms into an old lady. So that's why Maleficent is higher for me. All right, up next we have the Queen of Hearts. And she is the main antagonist of Disney's 1951 film, Alice in Wonderland. And she is tyrannical and deranged ruler of Wonderland with a sadistic penchant for beheadings. When Alice arrives to the kingdom and inadvertently humiliates the monarch, the Queen of Hearts becomes obsessed with decapitating the girl. All right, so the Queen of Hearts, another iconic villain. You'll notice that a lot of the villains are very iconic, I find, with their outfits and stuff. The Queen of Hearts is actually going to be below the Evil Queen and Maleficent, so the D ranking for me. She's iconic, off with their heads. She loves hearts and she loves the color red and things like that. But she's not that memorable. There's so many memorable characters in Alice in Wonderland, the movie. There's like the Mad Hatter and the Rabbit and Tweedledee and Tweedledum. There's just so many characters that the Evil Queen kind of takes a back seat. She is the main antagonist, but it takes time to get there, I find, with her. So that's why she's not as high for me. Up next, we have Lady Tremaine. So, Lady Tremaine, also known as the Wicked Stepmother, is the main antagonist in 1950s film Cinderella. As the cold-hearted stepmother of Cinderella, Lady Tremaine does not harm her stepdaughter physically. Rather, she seeks to punish and abuse her psychologically, motivated by her jealousy of Cinderella being far more beautiful than her own awkward daughters Anastasia and Drizella. She's also a socialite, determined to gain higher status. So Lady Tremaine, for me, is going to also be D with the Queen of Hearts. The reason for that is Lady Tremaine doesn't have that big of an impact. It's just based off of jealousy of Cinderella. And she doesn't have that big of a story arc, I find. It's just jealousy that motivates her. And that's it. I will admit, though, when watching Cinderella as a child, Lady Tremaine terrified me when Cinderella visits her in her room to deliver her breakfast. It's kind of imposing, that's for sure. But she's not that big of a villain in my mind. Up next, we have Cruella de Vil. Good old Cruella de Vil. She is the main antagonist in 1961's film 101 Dalmatians. She is an eccentric, fashion-obsessed heiress who wishes to use the skins of 99 Dalmatian puppies to create a spotted fur coat. Regarded as a witch and a devil woman, Cruella's infatuation with furs drives her to murderous insanity, and she commits immoral acts to satisfy her mania, such as kidnapping and killing. In her mad pursuits, Cruella is typically aided by her henchmen Jasper and Horace. So Cruella de Vil, she is going to go in my C or B. She's going into my B ranking with Maleficent. And I'm not counting the Cruella movie. And the reason for that is she is iconic. Her black and white hair is so iconic. Anita, darling! She exudes personality. You know right away who that is. If someone were to dress up as her and did the black and white hair, that's all you'd need, and like the gloves and the cigarette, you know right away that's Cruella de Vil. You wouldn't need like the big furs and stuff like that, I find. She's also terrifying when she is mad hunting down the puppies. Also villainous. You want to talk about villainous? Hunting down puppies just for their fur, for a coat? That's pretty heinous in my mind. So she's B for me. Up next, we have Captain Hook. Now, Captain Hook is the antagonist in the 1953 feature film Peter Pan. He is a bloodthirsty pirate that commands the Jolly Roger, a brig docked on the shores of Neverland. Hook has long since abandoned sailing the high seas in favor of having revenge on Peter Pan for cutting off his left hand and feeding it to a crocodile, who has since been in constant pursuit of the captain. While a worthy opponent, Hook is destined to fail, sometimes because of Peter's ability to fly, but more often through the bumbling incompetence of his first mate, Mr. Smee. So, Captain Hook, for me, he is a D ranking. personally. The reason for that is he's a bumbling oaf. He's silly. He's obsessed for this one instant. Don't get me wrong. Peter Pan shouldn't have done that. And I agree with that. And that's kind of bad on Peter for that. But he kind of is like, Like, there's the whole storyline behind Peter Pan. There's a lot of other things to see. We're flying to Neverland. So we're trying to take in this brand new world. And Captain Hook just happens to be there. Kind of like the Queen of Hearts. It's a whole world that you're exploring, and they just happen to be there. So that's my thought on Captain Hook. Up next, we have Gaston from the 1991 film Beauty and the Beast. He's an arrogant and chauvinistic hunter who was greedily determined to have Belle's hand in marriage, even by force if necessary. His obsession turned him into a ruthless and traitorous villain, especially upon his discovery that Belle's love was not for him, but for the Beast. All right, Gaston, you're going in my C ranking. Reason for that: Gaston has more presence than Lady Tremaine, the Queen of Hearts, Captain Hook, but he's not as impactful, I find, as Maleficent and Cruella de Vil. The reason for that is he's very chauvinistic, as I stated, and it's just brash and kind of gross. And all it is chauvinistic, wanting Belle's attention and Belle's hand in marriage. So that's all he is. So he has like villainous traits, obviously, but if we want to compare him to other like powerful villains, he's kind of Yeah, he's evil, he's a terrible person, but not my favorite. All right, moving on, we are going to Ursula, also known as the Sea Witch, who is the main antagonist in 1989's film The Little Mermaid. She is a villainous Cecalia, half woman, half octopus, who strikes deals with unfortunate merfolk with the promise of making their dreams come true. Ursula's contracts, however, are covertly designed to advance her own ambitions and cause general misery. In the past, Ursula was a resident of King Triton's palace before being banished in exile by order of the king. Scorned, she has since vowed to exact vengeance by harnessing the power of the king's trident and installing herself as ruler of all the ocean. All right, so Ursula, she is going to be my S ranking. The reason for that: Ursula the Sea Witch has amazing songs. Poor Unfortunate Souls, iconic. None of the other ones really have songs that are like them singing. Like, we've got Cruella de Vil's song, but Ursula sings her own song, and it's catchy, and who doesn't remember that? Also, she talks about body language, and she's so impactful. She is someone that people can dress up as right away. People will know right away, and you kind of want to be her friend. You don't want to cross her, but she would be cool to hang out with, I find. The other ones, maybe not so much. So Ursula, you're up there for me. All right. Up next, we have Jafar. He's the main antagonist of 92's film Aladdin. As royal vizier of Agrabah, he was presented as the Sultan's most trusted and loyal advisor. In truth, the imperious Jafar held passionate disdain for the Sultan. He dedicated the latter half of his life to gaining ownership of a magic lamp containing an all-powerful genie. To that end, Jafar would control cosmic power, which he would use to overtake the throne and the world at large. So Jafar, you're gonna go in my B ranking. Reason for that: you're quite an imposing character, Jafar. You're evil, but you're like a twisted evil. You're supposed to be like caring and kind and stuff like that, but we know you're evil because obviously that's how you're presented to us. But not everyone sees that right away. So you get points for that for sure. Your obsession with taking over the world gives you mega points there as a villain. And you're memorable, but I find some of the female villains are more memorable than Jafar. And that's just in my personal opinion. Jafar is a diva in himself, but I don't know. You're just a B for me, personally. Prove me wrong, people. Tell me why he should be higher or lower. Up next, we have Scar. He's the main antagonist in 94's Lion King. As the brother of Mufasa and second-born prince of the Pride Lands, Scar was next in line to assume the throne as king. However, his chances were lost at the birth of his nephew, Simba. This embittered Scar with jealousy and a sense of entitlement, prompting him to develop a regicidal plot to take over the kingdom with the aid of his hyena henchmen. Alright, so Scar, you're going in my A ranking. The reason for that is you're throughout most of the movie, you have, again, a song like Ursula does. And you're very memorable. Your voice is memorable. You're villainous down to the core. You killed your brother. And then you try to hush away your nephew to get him out of the area so that you could take over. That is pure evil. If I can't think of anything else. I mean, obviously it's a tale of like Hamlet, but yeah, Scar, you're pretty bad. Up next, we have Cloud Frollo. Judge Cloud Frollo from 1996, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. He is a powerful Parisian justice minister who, after a series of sensitive circumstances, becomes the pre-grudged caretaker of the deformed Quasimodo. Aside from his political authority, Frollo is a religious zealot with intolerance for sinners. He believes Romani people, as in the movie called Gypsies, to be most heinous and of all malefactors, and therefore dedicates 20 years to his life to eradicating them. Frollo's self-imposed mission drives him to perform inhumane acts of violence, all the while using his loyalty to God as justification. So, Cloud Frollo, you are a D for me. Reason is, I rewatched The Hunchback not too long ago. He is evil, don't get me wrong. He is an evil villain, obviously. They all are. But, I don't know. I find you weren't as impactful as some of these other villains in people's memories. I think if people rewatch it, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Cloud Frollo is like a villain. Like, if you want to talk about politics and stuff, he is like a political villain, which could be thought of like in like everyday circumstances if you want to think about it that way. So in that sense, he has a lot of points. But memorabilia, you're not, I don't know. I'm a bit torn on him, but I'll keep him at D. All right, up next, we have Shen Yu, and he is the 1998 antagonist in the film Mulan. He's an evil leader of the Han army, who are responsible for mass genocide and general havoc across China. When the Emperor commissions the Great Wall to deter the Han invaders, Shen Yu views this as a challenge and declares war on His Majesty with the intent of taking over the country. All right, Shen Yu, you're going to get an A ranking for me. I'll explain why. And maybe it's a bit because I love the movie Mulan. But you want to talk about a villain? This is a war villain. He literally kills village after village of people to try and take over China. He almost overthrows the emperor. Actually, technically, he kind of does at a certain point. He gets into the emperor's palace. So, he's a villain in of himself. He has a great army. He's terrifying. He's imposing. And it's just downright terrifying, if you think about it in that sense. He's not as iconic, we could say, as some of the other villains that are ranked below him, and that's fair. But he's quite up there, in my opinion. All right, up next, we have Hades. He's the main antagonist in the 1997 film Hercules. He is a fast-talking god of the underworld, known for having a fiery temper and a vendetta against his eldest brother, Zeus. Over the span of 18 years, Hades developed a scheme to take over Mount Olympus and the cosmos, but a prophecy by the fates foretold that a hero would rise against him and end his reign. While the Hades of Greek mythology was not particularly malevolent, the Disney version portrays him as an evil figure, albeit comedic. So, we've got Hades, and for me, he is an A ranking for me. Hades is hilarious. He's villainous, but you know what? Really, watching Hercules again, James Woods does a great job portraying him and voicing this character, and Hades is just funny. Again, kind of like Ursula, he'd be someone you'd kind of want to hang out with. He's sassy and stuff like that. He's a lot of fun. And he also has great, quick-witted responses and things like that. He's just all around a funny villain. So he might not be the most evil. Sure, he rules the underworld. But I really enjoy Hades. All right, up next we have DrFacilier, commonly known as the Shadow Man, from the 2009 film The Princess and the Frog. He's an evil, smooth-talking voodoo witch doctor who plots to rule New Orleans with help from his friends on the other side. Having come from a poor background, Facilier grew to resent the rich and prosperous, none so much as the most powerful man in the city, Eli Big Daddy LaBeouf. Facilier sought to supersede his rival using voodoo and pawns, while offering the souls of New Orleans denizens to his friends as recompense. So DrFacilier, for me, he is a C character. Reason for that is he has a song of his own. I know Cloud Frollo does too, but DrFacilier is a bit more villainous in another way. Him and Cloud Frollo are actually very similar. You know what? I'm bumping Cloud Frollo up to C for that. They're both evil in the sense of they're very politically driven, we'll say. Cloud Frollo getting rid of the Romany people. Facilier, they're rich. They both use certain means to use as excuses. Frollo uses religion. Facilier uses his voodoo magic. They both have interesting fates. Frollo gets taken in by evil spirits, we'll say. Facilier gets taken by his friends on the other side. So they're very similar in that sense. DrFacilier has a catchy song. And I don't know, there's just something magical about him. For me. So yeah, that's it for me. And last but certainly not least on my list, we've got Mother Gothel, who's the main antagonist of Disney's 2010 film Tangled. She's the wicked crone who retained youth for hundreds of years through the healing properties of a magic golden flower. When the flower's power are transferred to the hair of Rapunzel, Gothel kidnaps the princess and locks her away in a secluded tower, where she hoards Rapunzel's healing magic. To keep the princess under her control, Gothel posed as Rapunzel's loving, albeit overprotective mother, with a mission to protect her daughter from the cruelty of the outside world. So Mother Gothel, for me, is an A ranking. She's up there with Shen Yu and Scar. The reason for that is she's comedic to an extent. She's comedic like Ursula and Hades, quick-witted, things like that. I remember the one line that always sticks in my mind is when her and Rapunzel are looking in the mirror and she says, "I see a beautiful, strong woman. Oh, wait, and you're there." And that was funny to me. She has a song for her, Mother Knows Best, and that's a really good, catchy song if you really listen to it. So I recommend that. And she's another downright evil person. A real life evil person, we'll say, in the sense of she kidnaps a child just for youth. And that's pretty evil. So that's kind of my ranking, I guess. So S, we've got Ursula and Hades. A, we've got Scar, Shen Yu, and Mother Gothel. B, we have Maleficent, Cruella de Vil, and Jafar. C, we've got the Evil Queen, Gaston, DrFacilier, and Cloud Frollo. And the D, we have the Queen of Hearts, Lady Tremaine, and Captain Hook. That's my personal opinion, and you know what? My opinion could change tomorrow, for all I know. Probably when this video comes out and I watch it, I'll be like, no, my mind's changed already. But that's kind of how it is right now. And let me know down in the comments what you think. If you think that my rankings were pretty decent, if you agreed with them, if you think I gave too much credit for some villains and didn't give enough credit for others or things like that. I'm always curious to find out. So be sure to leave a comment down below letting me know that. And besides that, I hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like this video and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.